So I just want to say miigwech to all the candidates who came out tonight to answer some questions. I'd also like to say congratulations to Ogama Duncan Michiano, who accepted his acclamation for the 2017-2019 election year. And if he would like to come up and share a few words. Yeah. You want to remove it? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Anyways, miigwech. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Tontz and Mr. Mishno for nominating me. Mr. Tontz, it's been quite a few years. He's nominated me over and over, and I want to thank him for having that confidence in what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do. I'm going to talk about a few things. One of the things I want to do is I want to update you on the land claim and where we go. I've heard a few people talk about the whole issue about transparency, and I want to talk a bit about the land claim. And also I'll talk a bit about the Chinaknagewan, the Constitution. But before I do that, I'd like to encourage everybody to think about why they're running. And are you there for personal reasons, or are you there for the common good? I've been in council for 24 years and chief for 6 years, and I've always put the community ahead of my personal issues, my personal reasons. So I want everybody to think about that, and I want the voters out there to think about that. Why are you voting for someone? Are you voting for them because it's a family member? Are you voting for them because you think they're going to raise shit in council? Or are you voting for them because you think they have something to offer this community to make this community better? And that should be the sole reason you vote for someone. I also want to encourage people to look at the corporate knowledge that sits in a lot of these veterans. We don't want to lose that corporate knowledge. There's a lot of veterans here who take my place in a lot of those meetings because I can't get to them all. I live in that goddamn truck of mine. I sleep there. 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes I'm still traveling. That's how much work is involved in being a chief, and then particularly now when we've got a land claim. But those veterans do a damn good job in taking my place because they know what the issues are and they know how to deal with people. Having said that, I still encourage the young people to run and people to think about the young people and what they have to offer. Is there any specific skills and education that those young people have to offer? And think about those. So balance the two. Males, females. It's always good to have that mix. Young, old. So again, I want to encourage everybody to, I guess, come out and vote, because it's not just your right, it's your duty to come out and vote. If you don't come out and vote, don't complain. As simple as that. So come out and vote. Vote for whoever the heck you want to vote for, but come out and vote. In regards to the land claim, where we're at with the land claim is we've been working over the last year or so, in regards to a framework and trying to set up a framework agreement that will cover all the 6 communities. And that's where we are. That's been signed off. And what the negotiators for Ontario and the federal government have done now, they're going to go to Cabinet this fall to try to seek a mandate to go into full-blown negotiations, and that's where we are. The specifics of that framework agreement I can't share because it involves other communities. But rest assured that when we go to negotiations and we come to agreement, we're not going to sign off on that damn thing without coming to this community and getting this community's ratification to say, yes, we're going to agree with this. So the community is going to have their say. Again, those things are fairly, I guess, confidential, because we're dealing with other communities, and we're dealing with the federal government, and we're dealing with the Ontario government, and we don't want them to know what we're thinking. So we can't share with you the specifics of what's going on, because we'd want somebody going on Facebook and then letting the whole damn world, including those other communities, and the federal government and the provincial government, know what we're up to. We gotta keep a lot of this stuff confidential when you're trying to negotiate with someone. You don't want them to know what you're thinking. So, like I said, rest assured that you will have the last say in what goes on in that land claim and what is put into it. There's going to be a substantial amount of land, and there'll be a substantial amount of money also. What that is, we don't know. That'll end up being negotiated out. In regards to the Chinaknagewan, the Constitution, I'm glad that you brought it up, Abraham, and there was a few other people that talked about it a bit also. Because what the Constitution is, and Abraham talked about it not being changed. We don't want to change that every damn year. We don't want to change it every 5 years, because it's the foundation that allows us to start developing laws. So we want to keep that fairly solid. It's the laws that we develop within that that'll talk about the specifics of how we create our laws. And one of the first things law will have to create will have to be, how do we create laws? A law to tell us how we create laws. That has to be spelled out. And then we look at all our other laws. And then there's an issue in regards to the Ontario government prosecuting our laws. What's the use of creating laws when Ontario doesn't want to prosecute them? Right now we have 5 or 6 bylaws. I looked them up. I sent those off to the Attorney General. And I asked the Attorney General, are you willing to prosecute these bylaws? I haven't heard from them. We've got a lawyer working on that now from Toronto to try to push them to give us an answer. Because if they can't prosecute our measly old bylaws, how the hell are they going to prosecute laws that we create under the Constitution? Do we then have to create our own judiciary? I think that's what we're probably going to have to do, and so that we can prosecute our own bylaws. And the Chiefs of Ontario are looking at that. They're starting to look at that. That's one of the things that Nicole Richmond, when she's sitting in that justice portfolio in the Chiefs of Ontario, will probably look at some point or other. Because we need to look at creating our own judiciary if Ontario is not going to prosecute our laws. So in regards to the laws under our Constitution, we got to wait till before we start creating them. We got to wait to find out how are we going to prosecute these things. Right now, there's no way because Ontario doesn't even prosecute our bylaws that we have. So we got to think about those kinds of things. In regards to housing, the whole issue about housing, for years and years, I've been trying to advocate that we get the hell out of housing. Why does a political organization have to provide houses to members? I've been advocating that we create a housing authority, a separate entity that looks after housing, at least the residential housing. So those are things you want to think of. You talk about thinking outside the box, Abraham. That's thinking outside the box, getting away from the old Indian affairs style regime that we've been stuck in for so many years, where the band has got to create houses. Why does the band have to create houses? Which other government in this planet creates houses for their people? And you get away from that whole issue in regards to, well, you built a house for your auntie, but you didn't build one for my auntie. So you create a housing authority that's separate. And that's something we should think of if you end up in council and our new council. One of the other things that we're looking at is creating identity cards. And we probably won't do that until we get a new council. And one of the things we want to do to an identity card is basically say we're members of Bigtiguan Nishnabek and include our name in our clan, as well as a little bit of other information. Details not ironed out yet, but those are things we want to do. And again, it ties in with the Chinaknagaywan and how do we look at the whole change of governance? Because that's something that we want to do also. We contemplated this fall going to a 4-year term. We decided we were going to stay with the 2-year term because that 4-year term under the First Nations Election Act is too hard to get out of. It's too hard to get out of the First Nations Election Act. Again, you need 50% plus one of the membership actually voting, and then 50% plus one of those saying yes, we want to get out of the First Nations Election Act. So if we wanted to go to a custom code, we'd have a hell of a time getting out of there. So we stayed with the old system. But somewhere down the road, we'll probably go with a custom code. And again, we got to start getting those laws under our Chinaknagaywan. And how the hell are we going to do that when we don't have a judiciary to prosecute the laws that we create under there? So you see how everything is all tied, and the governments, both Ontario and the federal government, have control of us and make things so damn difficult for us to try to work on our own. We've signed the AES, the Anishinaabe Education System. That's a good thing. We signed the master agreement with Ontario. We now have complete control of our education system. We will now be able to develop our own curriculum and our own methods under the new Anishinaabe education system. So those things there's a lot of things you need to think about if you want to be on council. There's a lot of difficult issues. It's not just black and white. And the overriding thought that has to be in your mind all the time is that, am I doing this for the betterment of this community? That has to be the #1 priority. And the betterment of this community for those kids 200, 300 years down the road. Because the decisions we make today affects those kids 200, 300 years down the road. That's what the whole land claim is about also, and getting that land base. And we'll have a substantial land base when we're done here. I guarantee you that. It won't be one big block, but we're looking at strategically placing our land where it can use best for residential, for water, and for economic development. So with that, I'll end now. I think I've probably gone over 5 minutes or whatever it is. Anyways, miigwech. Thank you. And good luck with your election and your bid to be in council. Thank you.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up our evening. Miigwech to Duncan for sharing his words. A reminder to the members who are off reserve, if you haven't requested a mail-in ballot package, please contact myself. You could give me a call at 807-229-8900, extension 222. Or if you have previously requested a ballot but you haven't received it yet, just give me a call, and that way I'll be able to touch base with our election officer to make sure the information that we passed along to them was correct in terms of your address. And with that, miigwech and have a great evening.